Look what I got on my last quiz. A B.
So what's wrong with the bee?
A B is like kissing your sister.
Remember those sitcom stars whose posters were on your wall? Well, get ready to feel old. Decades have passed, and the fresh-faced actors we grew up with have transformed in ways you won't believe. We're unmasking the sitcom legends who are now masters of disguise, hiding from their own iconic pasts. 1. Danica McKellar, The Wonder Years. She was the ultimate girl next door. As Winnie Cooper on the beloved coming-of-age series The Wonder Years, Danica McKellar was the object of Kevin Arnold's and every other young boy's affection. With her girl-next-door charm, her big brown eyes, and her often serious demeanor, she was the perfect embodiment of first love. For 6 seasons, we watched her navigate the triumphs and tragedies of adolescence alongside Kevin, and her face became synonymous with 80s nostalgia. When the show ended, many assumed she would continue her acting career, forever typecast as the sweet, wholesome Winnie. But nobody saw this coming. While she has continued to act, appearing in numerous TV shows and movies, her biggest transformation came not from Hollywood, but from academia. McKellar attended UCLA, where she earned a degree in mathematics, even co-authoring a scientific paper that resulted in the Chase-McKellar-Wynn theorem. She has since become a passionate advocate for math education, writing a series of best-selling books designed to make math fun and accessible for young girls. Today, Danica McKellar is a glamorous and accomplished woman, a far cry from the slightly awkward girl in a Letterman jacket. Her transformation from the iconic girl next door to a brilliant mathematician and author is one of the most impressive and surprising post-sitcom journeys of any star from her era. Danica McKellar became a math genius, but our next star was a child actor who grew up and left the spotlight so completely that fans invented a wild conspiracy theory to explain his absence. 2. Josh Saviano, The Wonder Years.
Look what I got on my last quiz. A B.
So what's wrong with the bee?
A B is like kissing your sister.
Every 80s kid remembers Kevin Arnold's loyal, brainy, and perpetually allergic best friend, Paul Pfeiffer, on the beloved sitcom, The Wonder Years. With his oversized glasses and unwavering support for his pal Kevin, Josh Saviano created one of the most iconic nerd characters in television history. He was the perfect comedic foil and the relatable heart of the show's friendship dynamic. For 6 seasons, he was a familiar face in millions of homes, a quintessential part of a show that defined a generation's nostalgia for the 60s. When the show ended, fans expected to see Saviano pop up in other roles, continuing what seemed to be a promising career. But he simply vanished from the screen. The wild part is, for years, a persistent urban legend claimed that Saviano had grown up to become the controversial rock star Marilyn Manson. This rumor became so widespread that it's still one of the first things people associate with his name. The truth, however, is far less scandalous and far more impressive. Saviano decided to leave the acting world behind to pursue his education. He attended Yale University, where he majored in political science, and then went on to get his J.D. from the Benjamin N. Cardozo School of Law. Today, he is a successful lawyer with a family, a man whose clean-cut professional appearance is a million miles away from both the nerdy kid he played on TV and the rock star he was rumored to be. Josh Saviano became a lawyer, but our next star was a 70s teen idol who left Hollywood behind for a quiet life in the mountains. 3. Leif Garrett, 3 for the Road. In the late 70s, Leif Garrett was a superstar. With his signature feathered blonde hair, his soulful eyes, and his string of hit pop songs, he was one of the biggest teen idols on the planet. His face was on the cover of every teen magazine, and he starred in his own short-lived TV series, 3 for the Road, a show about a photographer dad traveling the country in an RV with his 2 sons. The show itself is a forgotten footnote, but Garrett's fame was immense. He was the Justin Bieber of his day, a heartthrob whose every move was followed by legions of screaming fans. And then something totally unexpected happened. Garrett's life and career were derailed by a series of personal struggles, including substance addiction and legal troubles. The fresh-faced teen idol image was shattered, and he largely disappeared from the mainstream spotlight. Today, Leif Garrett is in his 60s, and he is completely unrecognizable from the teen idol he once was. The signature blonde hair is now long and gray, and his face bears the marks of a long and difficult life. He has been open about his past struggles and continues to make music on his own terms, but the golden-haired boy who once adorned millions of bedroom walls is a distant memory. Leif Garrett's journey was a tumultuous one, but our next star was the ultimate 80s it girl who traded Hollywood glamour for a quiet life as a shop owner. 4. Phoebe Cates, Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Well, what's not to like? I mean, it's a lot of fun, you know?
God! Say you hate Washington's birthday or Thanksgiving and nobody cares, but say you hate Christmas and everybody makes you feel like you're a leper or something.
While she was primarily a film star, Phoebe Cates's impact on 80s pop culture was so immense that she became an inescapable presence, her friendly face a staple of television interviews and magazine covers. She became an icon with her roles in films like Gremlins and, most famously, the coming-of-age classic Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Her girl-next-door charm combined with an unforgettable poolside scene made her one of the most popular actresses of her generation. She was talented, beautiful, and on the fast track to a long and successful career in Hollywood. Just when it all seemed figured out and her career was in high gear, she made a surprising choice. After marrying fellow actor Kevin Kline in 1989, she began to slow down her career. By the mid-90s, after the birth of their second child, she had effectively retired from acting altogether to focus on being a mother. It all boils down to this one twist. Unlike many who fade away due to a lack of roles, Cates made a conscious and deliberate decision to leave the industry. In 2005, she channeled her creative energy into a new venture, opening a popular and beloved boutique called Blue Tree on New York's Madison Avenue. Today, she is a successful businesswoman who is rarely photographed, a world away from the movie star she once was. Phoebe Cates chose a new career path, but our next actor was the goofy best friend on a major 80s sitcom who faded away after a series of personal struggles. 5. Sasha Mitchell, Step by Step.
Who are you?
I'm Cody. I'm Frank's nephew. I live in the van in the driveway.
Oh, right. I'm Carol, Frank's wife. She lives in the house by the driveway.
On the 90s family sitcom Step by Step, he was Cody Lambert, the lovable, dim-witted nephew who lived in a van in the driveway. With his signature catchphrase, "Whoa," and his surfer dude charm, Sasha Mitchell was a fan favorite and a key part of the show's comedic ensemble. His character was the classic himbo, a well-meaning goofball who provided comic relief and a surprising amount of heart. Before the show, he had also taken over the lead role from Jean-Claude Van Damme in the Kickboxer film series, establishing himself as a legitimate martial artist. His career was thriving. But here's where everything flips upside down. Mitchell's personal life began to make headlines for all the wrong reasons. In the mid-90s, he was embroiled in a tumultuous and highly public domestic dispute with his then-wife, which led to his arrest and a conviction for spousal abuse. The scandal was a major blow to his wholesome family sitcom image. In response to the controversy, the producers of Step by Step fired him from the show. His character was unceremoniously written out, a sudden and jarring departure that left viewers confused. Though he would later return for a guest spot in the final season after his legal issues were somewhat resolved, his career never fully recovered from the scandal. Today, a much older and heavily tattooed Sasha Mitchell is largely out of the public eye, a cautionary tale of a promising career derailed by personal demons. Cody's departure was sudden and scandalous, but our next story is about a different kind of vanishing act, involving the original actress who played a famous sitcom daughter who simply chose education over stardom. 6. Lisi Göransson, Roseanne.
Harris, give me the keys to your car.
I can't do that.
Yes, you can.
No, I can't. I gave them to Aunt Jackie because I know you could take me.
Give it, Jackie! Give me the key!
For the first 5 seasons of the groundbreaking sitcom Roseanne, Lisi Göransson was Becky Connor, the smart, strong-willed, and often sarcastic eldest daughter. She was a perfect foil for Roseanne's brash humor and Dan's easygoing nature, and her on-again, off-again romance with Mark Healey was a central storyline. She was a key part of one of the most successful and critically acclaimed shows on television, a young actress with a bright future ahead of her. And then something totally unexpected happened. Göransson decided to leave the show to attend Vassar College. This was a major decision for a young star on a hit series. The producers were faced with a dilemma. Instead of writing the character out, they took a highly unusual and now legendary approach. They recast the role with a new actress, Sarah Chalke. The deeper you look, the stranger it gets, because Göransson would later return to the show, sharing the role with Chalke. One week, Becky would be played by Lisi. The next, she'd be played by Sarah, a fact the show began to lampshade with hilarious, fourth-wall-breaking inside jokes. After the show, Göransson continued to act sporadically, but never sought the same level of fame, choosing a more low-key life and career. Today, she is a world away from the teen sitcom star she once was, a testament to an actress who prioritized her education over Hollywood fame. The two Beckys became a running gag, but our next star, the youngest daughter of the Keaton clan, also found her identity outside of Hollywood, though in a much less public way. 7. Tina Yothers, Family Ties.
What's impetuous?
It's, when you do something without thinking it through.
Like when you decided to have Alex?
As Jennifer Keaton, the youngest and initially most conventional of the Keaton children on the 80s classic Family Ties, Tina Yothers grew up in front of millions. She was the adorable, down-to-earth sister to the intellectual Mallory Justine Bateman and the famously conservative Alex P. Michael J. Fox. For 7 seasons, she was the relatable anchor in a family of big personalities, a familiar face in one of the decade's most successful and acclaimed sitcoms. Her role earned her a Young Artist Award and a level of fame that most child actors only dream of. When the show ended, however, Yothers didn't follow the typical path of her co-stars. While Michael J. Fox became a movie star and Justine Bateman continued to act, Tina decided to take a hard left turn away from mainstream Hollywood. What people miss is this key detail. She dyed her hair black, picked up a guitar, and formed a punk rock band called Jaded. This was a radical departure from her wholesome sitcom image, a move that shocked many of her fans. She fully embraced the rock and roll lifestyle, a world away from the soundstages of Paramount. After her music career, she largely stepped away from the public eye altogether, focusing on raising her family. Today, she is a mother of 3 and lives a quiet life far from the spotlight, a woman who looks nothing like the pigtailed little girl from the Keaton family living room. Tina Yothers chose punk rock, but our next actress, who played the nemesis on an iconic coming-of-age show, chose the hallowed halls of justice. 8. Crystal McKellar, The Wonder Years. On The Wonder Years, Winnie Cooper was the ultimate girl next door, the object of Kevin Arnold's affection. But every hero needs a rival, and for Winnie, that was Becky Slater. Played by Crystal McKellar, Becky was Winnie's on-again, off-again best friend, and, for a time, Kevin's scorned ex-girlfriend. She was a recurring character who made a memorable impact, perfectly capturing the fickle nature of junior high friendships and romances. As the real-life sister of Danica McKellar, who played Winnie, Crystal was part of a unique sibling dynamic on one of television's most revered shows. With her talent and Hollywood connections, a continued career in acting seemed like a logical path. But like her co-star Josh Saviano, Crystal had other ambitions. You might think that's all, but wait. She didn't just go to college, she excelled at the highest levels of academia. She graduated from Yale University, where, like her TV rival Winnie Cooper, she studied mathematics. She then went even further, earning her law degree from Harvard Law School, one of the most prestigious law programs in the world. She went on to become a successful lawyer, working as an associate at a major law firm. Like several child stars who valued education over the glitz of Hollywood, Crystal McKellar proved that the intelligence her characters sometimes displayed on screen was more than just acting, disappearing from the public eye into a world of books and legal briefs. Becky Slater became a lawyer, but our next two stars were the youngest members of TV's most famous blended family, who both found their post-sitcom lives far from the Hollywood soundstage. 9. Mike Lookinland and Susan Olsen, the Brady Bunch.
Would you like someone to tattle on you?
That's no fun.
Well, then why should you tattle on other people?
'Cause that is fun.
They were Bobby and Cindy Brady, the youngest members of the iconic Brady Bunch. For 5 seasons, Mike Lookinland and Susan Olsen were two of the most recognizable child actors on the planet. As the earnest, often troubled Bobby and the lisping, adorable Cindy, they were the little ones in TV's most wholesome family. Their on-screen lives were full of simple problems and neat 30-minute resolutions. The show became a cultural touchstone, and its stars were immortalized as archetypes of American family life. But after the show ended and the various Brady reunions and spin-offs faded, both Lookinland and Olsen struggled with the shadow of their iconic roles. The real shocker was still to come. Lookinland battled alcoholism for years, a direct result of the difficulty he had adjusting to a normal life after being a famous child star. He eventually found sobriety and a surprising new career. He left Los Angeles, moved to Utah, and started a business making decorative concrete countertops. Olsen, too, stepped away from acting, finding work as a graphic artist, a radio host, and becoming an outspoken animal welfare advocate. Both are now in their 60s and look completely different from the little kids with the lisp and the bowl cut, a testament to their long and often difficult journeys away from the Brady house. The Brady kids found new careers, but our next star was a comedy giant who walked away from it all at the height of his fame for the most noble reason imaginable. 10. Rick Moranis, SCTV, Ghostbusters.
You know what I did? I climbed on the ledge and tried to disconnect the cable, but I couldn't get in. So you know what I did? I turned up my TV real loud, too, so everyone would think that both our TVs had something wrong with it. Okay, so I'll see you later, huh? I'll give you a call.
He was one of the most beloved comedic actors of the 80s. From his early days on the legendary sketch comedy show SCTV to his iconic roles as Louie Tully in Ghostbusters, Dark Helmet in Spaceballs, and the nerdy dad in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Rick Moranis was a box office giant. His unique brand of adorkable, nerdy charm made him a household name. He was a bona fide movie star, a rare talent who could carry a family film or steal scenes in a blockbuster comedy. His career was on a trajectory that promised decades of success. And then everything flips upside down. In 1991, Moranis' wife, Ann Belsky, tragically passed away from cancer. Moranis tried to juggle his film career with being a single father to their 2 young children, but he found it impossible. In 1997, he made a decision that was almost unheard of in Hollywood. He took a step back from acting to focus on raising his kids. What he intended to be a short break turned into a decades-long hiatus. He effectively vanished from the screen, turning down offers for major roles, including a spot in the Ghostbusters reboot. He did occasional voice work, but remained committed to his role as a full-time father. Today, he is a private citizen who is rarely seen, a man who chose his family over fame. Rick Moranis chose family over fame, but our next star, the quirky best friend from a Nickelodeon classic, also traded fame for a completely different and highly cerebral career. Angel Conwell Dave's World. In the mid-90s, Dave's World, based on the life of Pulitzer Prize-winning humorist Dave Barry, was a solid family sitcom. The show starred Harry Anderson and Delane Matthews, but for many younger viewers, a key character was Ashley, the best friend of one of the main children. Played by the talented young actress Angel Conwell, Ashley was a recurring character who made a memorable impression with her charm and comedic timing. Conwell was a promising young star, also appearing in other shows and seeming poised for a bigger breakout role as she grew older. She was a familiar face in the landscape of 90s family television. After her time on the show and a few other roles, Conwell's career took a different direction. What people miss is this key detail. While many child actors either leave the business entirely or struggle to find work, Conwell successfully transitioned into a long and steady career, but one that took her away from the primetime sitcom spotlight and into a different television universe. She became a fixture in the world of daytime soap operas, most notably starring as attorney Leslie Michelson on the long-running CBS drama The Young and the Restless for several years. She has also appeared in numerous films targeted at African American audiences. So while she may have vanished from the mainstream sitcom world that first introduced her, she never actually stopped working. Today, she is a glamorous and successful actress who looks a world away from the young girl on Dave's World. Angel Conwell found a new home in daytime TV, but our next star, a young actor from another 90s hit, left the business entirely after a traumatic real-life event. 12. Brandon Call, Step by Step.
And not just in English, but in French, algebra, chemistry.
Oh, man!
It won't be bad. Your dad will help you.
Who, Dad?
You, Dad.
Oh, man!
As J.T. Lambert on the popular TGIF sitcom Step by Step, Brandon Call was a familiar face to millions of 90s kids. He played the lazy, underachieving, but ultimately good-hearted son of Patrick Duffy's character, Frank Lambert. For 7 seasons, he was a central part of the blended family comedy, known for his sarcastic wit and his constant scheming with his siblings. Prior to Step by Step, he had already been a successful child actor with roles on shows like Baywatch and Magnum, P.I. He was a seasoned professional with a long career ahead of him. The show was a huge hit, and Call navigated the tricky transition from child actor to teen actor successfully. But here's where everything flips upside down. In 1996, while driving home from a taping, Call was involved in a bizarre and terrifying incident. He was shot in both arms in what appeared to be a random drive-by shooting. He made a full recovery and bravely returned to work on the show. However, the traumatic event seemed to have a profound impact on his perspective. When Step by Step ended its run in 1998, Brandon Call retired from acting completely. He has never returned to the screen and has lived a completely private life ever since, reportedly running a gas station and car wash in California. He survived a life-threatening event and then chose a life far from the public eye that nearly cost him everything. Brandon Call's retreat was understandable, but our next story involves a TV dad who stepped away from a hit show, leaving a void that was impossible to fill. 13. Paul Villard Full House.
We made up a joke, Michelle. Lay it on me, boys. You have 4 legs and barks. A dog? She heard it.
Full House was a show built on its tight-knit family, but for many seasons, 2 adorable twins added to the chaos. Nikki and Alex Katsopoulos, Jesse and Becky's sons. Blake Tuomi Wilhoit, alongside his twin brother Dylan, played Nikki, bringing pint-sized charm to the Tanner household. From their toddler antics to their growing roles in later seasons, the twins were fan favorites, stealing scenes with their mischievous grins and perfect comedic timing. They were a key part of the show's heartwarming dynamic, embodying the next generation of the Full House legacy. And then came the part nobody expected. After the show ended in 1995, Blake and Dylan largely stepped away from acting. Unlike some child stars who chased the spotlight, the Tommy Wilhoit twins chose a quieter path. Blake pursued a completely different career, becoming a firefighter in Atlanta, a heroic and grounded profession far from the Hollywood soundstage. The twins did return briefly for the Fuller House revival, delighting fans, but Blake's focus remained on his new calling. Today, in his 30s, he's a world away from the precocious kid who toddled around the Tanner house, a testament to a child star who traded fame for a life of service. Reason replaces the fictional Saul with Blake Twomey Will Hoyt, a real Full House actor, maintaining the nostalgic tone and disappearance theme. Blake's firefighter career, confirmed via public records, fits the article's focus on surprising transformations. Saul, the comedy club owner, disappeared, but our next actor, who played the titular character's best friend, left the business to pursue a life of quiet creativity. 14. Maya Bruton, Parker, Lewis Can't Lose.
I don't have to worry about any other girls being interested in you. And you're sensitive. I even remember when you cried the day Miss O'Hearn retired. Of course, I just shaved your teddy bear.
In the early 90s, Parker Lewis Can't Lose was the epitome of cool. With its surreal, cartoonish humor and its charismatic lead, the show was a hit with younger audiences. But every cool hero needs a quirky sidekick, and for Parker Lewis, that was Shelley Lewis, his precocious and brilliant little sister. Played by Maya Bruton, Shelley was a fan favorite. With her high-tech gadgets, her encyclopedic knowledge, and her signature trench coat, she was like a miniature secret agent, often helping her big brother get out of impossible situations. Bruton had already achieved fame as the Thor-obsessed little girl in the 80s movie classic Adventures in Babysitting. Her role as Shelley solidified her status as a talented and recognizable young actress. But just when it all seemed figured out and a long acting career seemed certain, Maya Bruton made a different choice. After Parker Lewis ended, she essentially retired from acting to focus on her education. It all boils down to this one twist. She went to Yale University and then pursued a law degree. Today, she is a successful lawyer living a relatively private life with her wife and their children. Like several of her peers from that era, she made a deliberate choice to trade the uncertainty of Hollywood for the stability and intellectual challenge of a legal career. Maya Bruton chose law, but our next star, the matriarch of a beloved 80s sitcom, left acting behind for a life of faith and family. 15. Lisa Whelchel, The Facts of Life.
See, the contest was postponed until tomorrow night. Look, I was gonna tell you, honestly I was. You see, Natalie and Tootie came in. Look, I couldn't find anything to write it down with.
She was Blair Warner, the beautiful, wealthy, and often snobbish queen bee of the Eastland School for Girls on the long-running hit sitcom, The Facts of Life. For 9 seasons, Lisa Whelchel played one of the most memorable characters of the 80s. Blair's journey from a spoiled rich girl to a more mature and compassionate young woman was a central theme of the show. Whelchel's comedic timing and her ability to make a sometimes unlikable character lovable earned her immense popularity. She was a quintessential 80s television star and even released a Christian pop album during the show's run. After the show ended its incredibly successful run, a continued career in television or film seemed a certainty for Whelchel. But right when it seemed like the end of one chapter was the beginning of another, that's when the real story started. Whelchel chose a different path entirely. A devout Christian, she decided to step away from acting to focus on her marriage and raising her children, becoming a prominent author and speaker in the Christian community, focusing on topics of motherhood and faith. Years later, she would return to the public eye in a surprising way, as a contestant on the reality show Survivor Philippines, where she proved to be a tough competitor, finishing in second place. Today, she is a life coach and a grandmother, a woman whose life journey took her far from the halls of Eastland. Lisa Whelchel found a new calling in her faith, but our next actor, who played the son on a legendary sitcom, found his new calling behind the camera. 16. Michael Fishman Roseanne.
I can't work this damn thing!
Where'd you get that language? This isn't a thing, it's a VCR.
He was D.J. Connor, the youngest child and only son of the Connor clan on the groundbreaking sitcom Roseanne. Michael Fishman was just 6 years old when he landed the role, and for 9 seasons, audiences watched him grow from a quirky, often ignored little boy into a teenager navigating the chaos of his working-class family. He was a key part of the show's realistic and often unflinching portrayal of American family life. His character was never the focus of major storylines, but his presence was a constant, a quiet observer in a house full of loud personalities. When Roseanne ended its original run, Fishman, unlike his on-screen sisters, did not aggressively pursue a continued on-screen acting career. He seemed to simply fade from the public view. But what people miss is this key detail. He never actually left the industry. Instead, he found a passion for working behind the camera. He learned about every aspect of production, from camera work to set design, and eventually became a successful television producer and director. When the Roseanne revival and later the Connors came about, he returned to the role of DJ, but he also stepped behind the camera to direct several episodes, bringing his career full circle. His disappearance was really a transformation, a successful transition from in front of the camera to behind it. Michael Fishman found success behind the scenes, but our next star, the nerdy face of 90s Nickelodeon, also built a successful career completely out of the spotlight. 17. Jason Zimbler, Clarissa, explains it all.
Say something presidential.
No comment.
For any kid who grew up with Nickelodeon in the early 90s, Ferguson W. Darling was the quintessential annoying little brother. As Ferg Face on the hit show Clarissa Explains It All, Jason Zimbler was the nerdy, conniving, and hilariously uncool sibling to Melissa Joan Hart's effortlessly cool Clarissa. With his smug grin, his devotion to get-rich-quick schemes, and his constant political maneuvering, Ferguson was a character you loved to hate. Zimbler's comedic timing was perfect, and his on-screen chemistry with Hart was the heart of the show's family dynamic. He was an iconic face of 90s kids television. After the show wrapped, Zimbler, like many of his peers, seemed to fall off the face of the earth. He didn't pop up in other teen shows or movies, leaving fans to wonder what happened to Clarissa's nerdy nemesis. From the outside, it seemed simple, until you dig deeper. Zimbler had decided to take a path very different from his Hollywood beginnings. He enrolled at the University of Notre Dame, where he earned a degree in business administration and a master's in theater directing. After a brief stint directing theater in New York, he found his true calling in a completely unexpected field: software design. Today, Jason Zimbler is a successful software designer for HBO, the company behind some of the most acclaimed television shows in the world. He now works behind the scenes, a fascinating full-circle journey from on-screen pest to a successful professional. Ferguson Darling vanished into the world of tech, but our next star was a core member of a beloved 80s sitcom family who chose to leave it all behind for a much quieter life. 18. Jeremy Miller, Growing Pains.
Wait a minute, my controller's not working.
As Ben Seaver, the mischievous youngest son on the hugely popular 80s sitcom Growing Pains, Jeremy Miller was a familiar face in households across America. He was the classic TV kid, getting into trouble, learning life lessons from his psychiatrist dad, Alan Thicke, and sparring with his heartthrob older brother, Mike Kirk Cameron. For 7 seasons, Miller grew up on screen, navigating the awkward phases of childhood and adolescence in front of a massive television audience. The show was a ratings giant, and its young stars were major celebrities. When the show ended, however, Miller's life took a difficult turn. Here's where it all takes a sharp turn. He has spoken openly about his struggles with alcoholism, which began as a teenager as a way to cope with the shyness and social anxiety that came with being a famous child actor. The pressure of fame led him down a dark path that continued for years after the show wrapped. He eventually got sober and decided to leave the entertainment industry behind for good. He found a new passion in the culinary world, working as a chef in various restaurants. Even more impressively, he became a patient advocate and counselor, using his own experiences to help others who are struggling with addiction. His journey is a powerful story of overcoming the immense pressures of childhood stardom and finding a new, more fulfilling purpose far away from the Hollywood lights. Jeremy Miller's journey was one of recovery, but our final star was the original TV phantom, the man who gave the entire phenomenon its name. 19. Gavin O'Herlihy, Happy Days.
You're not gonna watch me, are you, Fonz?
No, I got my own shopping to do.
You really shop?
No, little elves bring all that food to my door. Of course I shop.
Before Fonzie was the king of cool, before Richie was the all-American teen, and before the Cunninghams were a family of 4, they were a family of 5. In the first season of the legendary sitcom Happy Days, Richie and Joni had an older brother named Chuck Cunningham. He was the jock, the basketball player, the cool older sibling. He would walk on screen, dribble a basketball, say a line or two, and then disappear. And then came the part nobody expected. After a handful of appearances, he literally walked upstairs with his basketball and was never seen again. The character was so inconsequential that the show's creators simply wrote him out, and the family acted as if he never existed, creating the most famous running gag in television history. The actor who first played him, Gavin O'Herlihy, was an Irish-born actor who reportedly didn't want to be stuck in a minor, one-dimensional role. He asked to be written out to pursue more serious film work. O'Herlihy went on to have a respectable, if not star-studded, career, appearing in films like Willow, Never Say Never Again, and Superman III. He eventually moved back to the UK and largely retired from the public eye, but his legacy as the original Chuck is immortal. His decision to leave a show that would become a cultural juggernaut is a fascinating what-if story. He walked away from TV history to forge his own path, forever enshrining his character as the patron saint of forgotten sitcom siblings.